for the drama. I mean, check out that steaming, sizzling going on there. Homemade, sticky, sweet and sour sauce. Super fragrant, a little spicy. Sticky, glossy. How do we make a better stir fry at home? There's a lot of technique that goes into making the perfect stir fry. Keep watching, you'll find out soon enough. Volcano. So this is the kind of stir fry you want, right? That sticky, glossy sauce, the pork that's super tender. But this doesn't happen by accident. There's a lot of technique that goes into making the perfect stir fry. So let's do it, my friends. Let's make the perfect chop suey. So I'm using pork fillet. This is really great because pork fillet or pork tenderloin is typically a very budget-friendly piece of meat that you can get from your supermarket. It does need a little bit of love though. Pork tenderloin doesn't have very much fat, so it can be dry and it can be tough if you don't deal with it right. Have a look here. This part of the pork is the white sinew part. That stuff is not going to get tender. It doesn't matter what you do, it just will never be tender. So you need to cut it off. So let's start with that. Just slide your knife just underneath the sinew and just kind of like peel it away. The other key here is that slicing is very important. So I want to go really thin and on the diagonal. That will give you the best kind of like short muscle tendon. Shorter muscle tendons mean that the meat sort of breaks more easily in your mouth when you chew, which gives you the impression that it's more tender. That was a very long-winded way of saying just slice it on the diagonal so it's more tender.
No, it's fantastic.
Did you like it, Dad?
I really enjoyed it.
Well, you know, some people are interested in the details.
I'm very interested.
Yes, thank you. Place the pork into a bowl and our marinade is going to help with the tenderizing here as well. So I'm going to add half a teaspoon of bicarb soda, also known as baking soda. The baking soda, oh God, this is not another one of those.
Stop it.
So the baking soda actually raises the pH level on the outside of the pork, making it brown faster and keeping it more tender. That wasn't that long. Jamie!
Where did you learn so much about baking soda?
I'm also going to add corn flour. That's our next important ingredient. This gives us a really lovely kind of velvety texture to the pork. And then finally, for some flavor, soy sauce. Give all of that a mix. I find getting right in there with your hands so you're like massaging that pork. That is the best way to do it. That just needs about 10 minutes. So in the meantime, let's do all of our vegetables. Okay, so the way we make the vegetables nice for like the perfect stir fry is all in the chopping. So take your vegetables, I'm gonna start with the carrot, and the key here is to slice very thin slices of carrot that will cook quickly but still remain with a little bit of crunch. Next is the capsicum. Now I know this might be a little bit pedantic, but all the details make the difference here. If you have a really thin slice of capsicum, it kind of gets soggy in the stir fry and waters everything down. Big, nice chunks like this will mean that your capsicum is tender and crunchy and doesn't sog out your stir fry. Next is the cabbage. I also want some nice chunks here, and then shiitake mushrooms, or any kind of mushrooms that you've got really, or you could use any other kind of vegetable here. If you are using shiitakes, take the stems off and just thinly slice the mushroom. Vegetables done, next thing is the sauce. So this is a really good, just stock standard, like master stir fry sauce. You could do any kind of stir fry using this base. Start off with some oyster sauce, add some soy sauce, Chinese Shaoxing wine, which is actually really easy to get a hold of now. Most regular supermarkets stock it. If you don't want to use wine, you can actually use apple juice here as well. Dark soy sauce, that one's just for some color, sugar. And finally, my last little trick here for the sauce is to use a chicken stock cube. When you're eating this kind of like soy sauce based gravy stir fry in a good Chinese restaurant, you've got some MSG in there, which is really tasty. I prefer not to use MSG at home, but what I do like to use is an all natural chicken stock cube to give me that extra kind of kick of flavor. So before we get to the actual stir fry part, I just want to do one thing, and that is make my omelette. So to start off with, I just heat some oil in my wok here. When the oil's hot, you want to add in your egg. And when you've got a really good wok, the egg should just slide around. Beautifully seasoned wok, and there's nothing sticking.
What wok are you using?
I'm using the Mako wok, Dax. Best wok in the world.
Where can I get one of these?
You can get it from marionskitchen.com, Dax. Flip the eggs over. You can just divide them up. We're going to chop them up later, so it doesn't really matter how you flip them. Empty it out onto a chopping board, and just some rough chunks here is great. So we're going to start the stir fry now, and what I want you to do is get that wok really, really hot, smoking hot, then add in some oil, and the pork goes first. Tip it in and then use your spatula to spread it out so you've got a maximum amount of surface area coming into contact with the hot wok. Once you let it sear for about a minute or so, you can start tossing it around, and you can see that bicarb soda already working because the pork has gotten all lovely and golden in a very short amount of time. Now you can add in your onion, toss that around, give it another minute or so. You'll notice that I'm going to add in the ingredients one at a time and give them time to make friends with everything else in the wok to heat up and get a little bit of char. So now the onion's had its time, I'm going to add in the garlic, toss that around, and then let's go in with vegetables. Start off with your firmer vegetables. I'm going to go in with carrot first of all. Once that's had a minute in the pan, then you can add in your capsicum, then your cabbage, and then the mushrooms. At this point, we've got vegetables that are looking fairly tender. Our pork is probably almost cooked through, and now the sauce. So this is one really small adjustment you can make when you're adding your sauce. Add it around the edge of your wok because then the sauce immediately starts to caramelize and like build up all of its flavor. Now I can go in with some bean shoots and my egg. So toss that around, and yes, it's kind of looking really good right now, but I want things to be extra glossy and sticky. So I'm going to add in some cornstarch. I just mixed it with a little bit of water, and immediately everything thickens up and beautifully coats all the ingredients. A little sprinkle of spring onion, toss that around, and we are ready to serve. So it's at this point when you're serving it out that you can see that all of the little details have made all the difference. We've got a beautiful sauce that's thick and sticking to every ingredient. That pork looks amazing. Okay, I need to eat some of this now. I think the key to an amazing stir fry is when the meat just literally melts in your mouth. The sauce is that perfect kind of like gravy, sticky texture. You know, the vegetables are crunchy. It's just perfect. Devil is in the detail. So good. And then check out that steaming, sizzling going on there, the sticky sauce, the glossy chicken. And now for this one, my friends, I'm going to recommend something I never usually do. We're going to use chicken breast.
I am a legs and thighs girl. I'm a legs and thighs girl.
Legs and thighs only, please. But I have the most amazing technique for getting super tender, juicy chicken breast. Let's do it, my friends. Let's make Hoisin chicken stir fry. So I have the perfect recipe for the marinade, for the sauce, but first of all, we need to deal with the chicken. So I am using chicken breast, as I said, and the problem with chicken breast starts with the fact that it is a very lean meat. So there's not much fat giving you any kind of juiciness. So if you have a look at your piece of chicken here, you'll notice it does actually have a grain, similar to a grain that steak has. So I'm gonna slice across the chicken grain this way, and this is gonna give you a more tender result when you bite through into each piece. Now, keeping your slices beautifully thin here also helps to keep your chicken very tender in the stir fry. So we're not done yet with the tenderizing of the chicken. The marinade is also really important. Start off with your soy sauce, dark soy sauce, Chinese Shaoxing wine. That one's optional, you can leave it out if you want to. Now we come to the tenderizing. So I'm starting with bicarb soda. Bicarb soda helps with tenderizing, also like encourages the chicken to brown up faster in the pan so it's not sitting there and getting kind of dry and cooked through. Getting cooked through, you want it cooked through because chicken that's not cooked through isn't that great. Okay. The bicarb soda helps to tenderize the chicken and encourages it to brown a lot quicker in the wok so it's not kind of getting all tough and dry. Corn flour is the other little trick here. It kind of gives you a lovely layer of velvety richness to the outside of the chicken, like it tricks your mouth into thinking it's more tender and soft. For the stir fry sauce here, we're going a little bit extra special. So we're not just gonna do like a soy sauce combo, but we're gonna add in some hoisin as well, which gives us a lovely sweetness. Soy sauce, Chinese Shaoxing wine, sugar, a little bit of vinegar. Now it's these small little details that really make a difference. The vinegar gives you a little bit of tang that balances the sweetness in the sauce. A little pinch of ground black pepper, and just give that a mix. One other little thing here, and you're totally gonna think that I'm being pedantic, but trust me, all the details make a big difference. So garlic. What I find is that a lot of people will slice the garlic or finely chop the garlic so that it burns really easily in the pan. So what I like to do is do a really rough chop. This is the kind of situation that you're looking for right here. Hello, what are you doing? Oh, I've just made some chicken stir fry. I just wanted to see if you wanted to come and have some. And we cooked your steak as well, so you got steak and chicken stir fry here, baby. Alright, okay. Good-o. Bye-bye.
Denied?
No, they're coming.
Oh, they're coming, cool.
Mother-in-law's not wasting chicken
No,
stir fry.
all right.
Or any stir fry. Or any food for that matter. She's like, I'm there. Coming. Excuse me, everyone, just personal phone calls. All right, so I have all my stir fry things here. Stir fry etiquette, very important to get your wok super hot. I'm using my Mako, so it's pre-seasoned, has a beautiful flavor, lovely patina, which I love. But if you're not using a wok, you can just use a very wide pan. So the thing about the pan or the wok is that you want everything to kind of hit and sear as soon as it touches the heat. Add the oil to your very hot pan, then add in your onion. And the technique here is that every ingredient gets time to kind of get some chariness, and also you allow the pan to heat back up again before you add the next ingredient. And now I'm gonna add in the chicken. Spread it out and then let it sit. Do not touch the chicken. I repeat, do not touch the chicken. Let it sear and crisp up and get all kind of brown and lovely on the bottom, around about 3 minutes or 4. See how you go.
I'm curious. In the recipe ingredients, you put ingredient number 1, Mako?
I did, yes. No, I don't do that. I seriously, this wok was revolutionary for me. Things just taste better in the Mako, including chicken breast. Now give everything a bit of a stir fry. You can see we're already getting some really lovely color on that chicken and already looks really lovely and glossy and sticky and yum. Then you can add in the garlic. This is the perfect time for garlic because it's not going to burn, which it would have if you added it in at the beginning. Toss that around, add in your capsicum, give that a bit of time to get a little bit tender. Now for the stir fry sauce. So one more tip here is if you pour the stir fry sauce around the edges of the wok, you're getting the sauce bubbling and sizzling and getting all sticky and sweet straight away. Toss all of that through. Now throw in your spring onions, toss all of that through, and this is what you have, my friends, a sticky, glossy, amazingly delicious chicken stir fry. And there you go, guys. Some really simple little things you can do to make a chicken stir fry like over the top good. The real test though is, what does this chicken breast taste like? It's game changing. It's literally changed the texture of that chicken breast so much, it just melts in your mouth, like a little puffy cloud.
Little puffy cloud?
Sort of, like a cloud. It's too late in the day to think up really good metaphors, right, Dax? Oh, that was a simile actually, technically. It's delicious, try it, and tender. And the chicken is cooked through, so winning. 3, 2, 1. Homemade, sticky, sweet and sour sauce. And we're gonna do a little meatball hack for this one too. This is my version of sweet and sour meatballs. Okay friends, so we're gonna cheat a little bit with our meatballs a bit later on, but we're not gonna cheat with the sauce because it's really easy to make a great sweet and sour at home. So first off, I need some brown sugar, some vinegar, just plain old white vinegar is fine. Now some soy sauce, some ketchup. Yes, I know ketchup, but ketchup is a really great ingredient. It has color, it has loads of umami and salty and tangy kind of things going on. So I am not a food snob by any means and happy to use ketchup in my sauce. It's kind of like a cheat in itself, adding extra flavor. Some pineapple juice, and yes, I'm like a pineapple girl in my sweet and sour, particularly when it's like a Chinese style sweet and sour, so I'm gonna go with pineapple juice here. You could do orange juice or apple juice as well. Slightly different flavor, but still good. And then here's the little special ingredient that levels up this Chinese sweet and sour sauce, and that is a little bit of 5 spice. Now, if you're interested in making 5 spice at home, you can actually check that out on my channel and make it from scratch. But if not, store-bought is fine, totally fine. Let's give that a bit of a mix. And then you want to get that heating up. And once that comes to a simmer, just let it do its thing for about 5 minutes. It'll thicken up a little bit and then we'll come back and finish that off. In the meantime though, I'm gonna get some pineapple, and I'm using fresh pineapple. I love that fresh pineapple keeps its kind of big chunks in your stir fry, but if you're really going for a really quick version, you could use canned pineapple as well. And once you've got the outside sort of skin off, then I just go in with like a little knife and just cut those little, I don't know what they're called, little eyes out. Pineapples have eyes, I don't know, are they called eyes? Whatever. You know, this little bit in here. Take that out. All right, and we just want some nice chunks here. Now, if we come back to our sauce here, you can see it's a little thicker, but I still want to kind of help it along a little bit in the lusciousness stakes. So let's get in with some corn flour. That's cornstarch if you're in the US. Dash of water, give that a mix. That goes into our sauce. And you only need to let that bubble away for like another minute or so. And there you go. I mean, look at that. Thick, shiny, sticky. And it smells, you know, you can really smell that, just that hint of the Chinese 5 spice, which I think makes it, you know, like way more special than regular old store-bought sweet and sour. So now we can get in here and bring all of it together. I'm going to start off with a little bit of oil. And then here are our meatballs, because, you know, you don't have to be a hero every night of the week. And I'm just using store-bought little mini meatballs here. And the cool thing is, like, they come kind of seasoned, they're tasty, and you don't have to roll them out. I have also done this, by the way, with like sausages, just sort of slice them up into little chunks and put them in here. It's kind of a good way to get your kids into more Asian style food if they're not into it, because, you know, sausages, meatballs, kids always love those sorts of things. Now you want to toss these around in here a good like 4 to 5 minutes, or until the meatballs have a lovely color and are just cooked through. So now that our meatballs are looking good, we can go in with our onion. I want some capsicum here as well. Because my pan's really hot, we're starting to see little bits of like charred meatball through all those veggies as well. And I love that little sort of smokiness you get from the really charred edges. So I'm all about that when I'm wok frying, like how can I get everything really charred and kind of smoky and lovely. Okay, now in with our pineapple. If you're using tinned pineapple, can I suggest you put the pineapple in really late, like right at the end when you're putting your spring onion in? Because it's a little bit softer, it tends to like disintegrate a little bit. Okay, now we can go in with our sweet and sour sauce. Ah, look at that magic happening there. Meatballs, sticky sauce. That pineapple is getting all like kind of charry and stuff. Now I'm going to go in with some spring onion, and that is it. Okay, let's serve that out. Obviously some steamed rice would be great here, or noodles as well. And there you go, friends. Not like your classic sweet and sour, but I mean, this meatball version is pretty cool. I like it. Let's get in here and have a taste, shall we? I love that. That sauce is beautifully, you know, it's beautifully sweet, but it has a lovely tanginess to it as well. And the Chinese 5 spice makes it so special. My favorite, there are these little chunks of like, it's like the pineapple's been grilled on a barbecue or something. I love it. How do you get a beef stir fry as glossy and luscious and tender as this? Well, I have the answers, my friends. Keep watching, you'll find out soon enough. This is my beef, mushroom and ginger stir fry. All right, so the secret to making an epic beef stir fry without those awful hard dry strips of beef, which like it really, I mean, it's just a tragedy. It doesn't need to happen, and I've got some really simple pantry ingredients that are gonna fix that right up. But first off, let's talk about the beef. I am using some ribeye. Any sort of tender cut of beef is good. You know, strip loin, rump is great as well. Now, what I want here are some really thin strips. And this is quite a large hunk of beef, so I'm gonna cut through lengthways first, and then I want those thin strips I was talking about. Now, the reason why I'm being so pedantic about the size of the strips is that the thinner and smaller you can make your beef strips, one, the further it'll go, a little more economical, and two, it'll absorb that marinade a lot quicker and get really super flavorful and tasty. And also because of my extra tenderizing ingredients, it will get tender a lot quicker. So, method to the madness, of course. And now here come our little secret ingredients. Good old baking soda. So baking soda mixed with our beef is going to give us that really beautiful, soft, tender texture. And now the second good old pantry ingredient that's going to make all the difference here is corn flour or cornstarch, depending on where you are in the world. Now this not only helps to thicken up the sauce, but it kind of helps with a little bit of a coating around the outside of each piece of beef, makes it glossy and soft and kind of luscious. I know, simple things, right? Okay, now I also want some soy sauce here that is just purely for flavor. Now you just want to give that a really good mix. Okay, and that doesn't need long to work its magic, just a little while I prep the rest of our stir fry ingredients. Stir fry sauce first, and this one is a really basic stir fry sauce that I use for lots of different recipes. I like the balance of the salty and the sweet and the tangy, and you'll see what I mean, it all comes together. But you know, again, really simple pantry ingredients: some oyster sauce and some soy sauce, and then some white vinegar. You know, just this little dash of vinegar really makes a difference with, I don't know, kind of lightening up, making things a bit tangy in the sauce. And some dark sweet soy sauce. This is mainly for a bit of color. I like that it gives a really deep, dark kind of hue to the entire stir fry. And then a little dash of sugar just to balance out all those big salty flavors. Okay, so now we want a whole bunch of aromatics, and for me, like the holy trinity of stir fry aromatics is ginger, onion, and garlic. So with my ginger, I want some really nice fine strips. So you just want to take the skin off that first of all. All right, now we want some onion as well. And some garlic as well. All right, so we have our beautiful aromatics. We have our beautiful beef, which is going to be nice and lush and tender. So I don't like to have too many things kind of like competing in a stir fry. I feel like the more minimal it is, the more elegant it is, the more all the bits and pieces are really the star of the show. So I'm just going to choose one more thing to put in my stir fry, and that is a whole bunch of mushrooms. You could choose capsicum, you could choose broccoli, but I just think keep it simple. And that's also less work to do because, you know, less things to prepare. So mushrooms, I want these fairly chunky, like in halves or quarters. These are just Swiss browns, but you know, button mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms would be great. All right, so now we are ready to get everything stir frying, and I know that was a lot of talking and chatting and prepping and slicing, but it is the most important thing to get everything done before you stir fry, because the stir frying bit should happen really quickly. That is also going to help us to get a really tender beef stir fry. So first off, I want a hot pan, the largest pan you've got. Doesn't have to be a wok, but does need to be large. And then you want some oil in there as well. And now we want our beautiful aromatics, the garlic, the onion, and the ginger. And just when those ingredients are fragrant, don't let that garlic burn, you want to put in your beef. So just get that straight in there. And then, as with any stir fry, when you're adding the protein, you want to spread it all out in that pan. And that's why I was talking about having a large pan, because the more meat we can get in contact with that hot pan rather than it all piling up and stewing, the better it will be. We'll get more color, we'll get more tender beef. Oh, that is smelling so good already. Look at the color on that beef. And then we're just getting that really nice, those really nice deep dark edges. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna add in my mushrooms. Just toss those around. And then pour in that stir fry sauce. All right, so just check out that glass, and I mean, that just looks so beautiful and shiny, and the smell with the ginger and the garlic, amazing. And we are good to go. You know, sometimes just simple things and they look so beautiful. Get really excited about this. Okay, let's pile it up onto a plate. And then don't leave any of that sauce behind in the pan. You definitely want a good drizzle of that on top. And there you go, guys, a beautiful beef stir fry. Super tender, super tasty. Well, let me just see. Why don't I just try it and make sure. That beef literally just melts. I mean, you just take a couple of pantry ingredients and make things instantly better. And the ginger in that, and the garlic, and then let's try one of these mushrooms. The mushrooms kind of enhance the beefiness of the entire thing. Oh, that is just pure joy, my friends, pure joy. Super fragrant, a little spicy, and very, very easy to make. This stir fry is one of those game changers. This is my weeknight spicy Thai basil stir fry. So one of the questions you guys ask me a lot, and I mean a lot, is how do you make a better stir fry at home? And I have one very, very simple answer: less is more. That's it, that's all it is, my friends. Let's get into it with this one and I'll show you what I mean, because I think with stir fries we tend to abuse them a little bit. We kind of chuck in a whole bunch of stuff, whole bunch of sauces, whole bunch of vegetables, whole bunch of things that you just don't need. All right, let's get on to a very, very simple starting point for a stir fry, and that is some garlic and chili. So a bit of garlic here. Okay, so I want about 4 or 5 cloves here. I like a garlicky stir fry. And then just go into my mortar, yes, skins and all, because it's so much easier to take the skins off by just giving them a little tap and then just peeling the skins off. Okay, so let's talk about chilies now. Now, you could totally just leave the chilies out, add a little bit of capsicum, or just go for a really mild chili. I like to do a 2 chili combo. So I go with these like smaller ones, and these are actually these are really large bird's eye chilies, but here in Australia they seem to be a lot larger than in Thailand. These ones are spicy, so I'm gonna go about 3 of those. And then these larger ones, literally they're just like capsicums. I mean, they're so mild, but I still want them because I want some color. I want some color, but not all, chili heat. That's why I'm using both. Okay, the small ones go straight into my mortar and pestle, or just mortar. Actually, I always just say into the mortar and pestle, but the big part is the mortar, the pestle is the other part. Anyway, and then with these big ones, I'm just gonna chop them really roughly. And now, paste probably isn't even the right word here. What I kind of want is just like the chili to break down a little bit, the garlic to break down, and that's pretty much what you're looking for. Just like that. All right, so let's talk about the meat and vegetables for the stir fry. So this is where we're going with the less is more kind of vibe here. Now, all you need for a really good stir fry, pick 1 vegetable. I'm going with zucchini today. And you just kind of want some nice little chunks here. Now you'll notice that I'm kind of cutting these in kind of odd shapes. I really like it, not just because aesthetically I like it, but also you'll see by chopping it this way in an odd, uneven kind of fashion, you have way more sides of the zucchini there that can come into contact with the pan, that can get some searing, that can soak in some sauce. So, there's method to the madness, everyone. And because there are a few ingredients here, the devil really is in the detail. Okay, so let's talk about protein. Now, I'm just going with a pork and beef mixture here, just because that's what I had in my fridge, but you could do just pork, just beef, just chicken, just turkey, or you could just add way more zucchini and just keep it all meat-free. So there's your options there. Now, let's get onto the stir-fry sauce, because this one, again, less is more. So what I need to start with is some oyster sauce. Now, this is a Thai-style kind of stir-fry, so I'm using some fish sauce here. You could easily just use soy sauce if you wanted to. And then always for me, you know, I find with a stir fry sauce, you just want a little bit of a sweet balance to the salty element. So I like to add a little dash of sugar, a little bit of honey would be great here as well. And that's it. Like, you don't need a million sauces to make a good stir fry sauce. Just give it a mix. All right, so now we are ready to get sizzling. Very simple. Just some oil. And when the oil's hot, I want to add in my chili and garlic. Oh, and that smell already, like the chili and garlic, oh, so good. Simple ingredients, and yet the flavor and the fragrance and the everything, epic. Okay, so now I want to go in with our meat. Right, so you're gonna stir fry that until the meat is just cooked. And do you know the other thing that I love about using mincemeat during the week is that no slicing. You don't have to slice up the meat, you just dump it straight in the pan. Just little things like that can really help out when you're in a rush, particularly when you've got like a 2.5-year-old running around wanting your attention. All right, so now we wanna add in our zucchini and just toss that around. And I want to keep the zucchini, I want to keep its kind of shape and integrity, so I don't want it to cook down too much. So I'm going to go straight in with my sauce. Toss that around. And then here's what kind of gives this another very Thai accent, and that is basil. And now look, for me, basil in a Thai stir fry, it's almost like another vegetable, and it's a great way to use up basil that might not be at its best in your fridge, because it's going to wilt down in the stir fry anyway. So I've got a mixture of Thai and Italian basil here, and that's going to go straight in. Wow, and already like that basil, beautiful basil smell, and that's just going to permeate the whole stir fry, and it's really kind of what makes it very special. A little more special than usual. Now I'm just using some brown rice today. Any kind of rice or noodles is good for this one. Pile up a nice mound here, and wow, it is smelling so good. And there you go, guys. An amazing stir fry. Really does not have to be very complicated. In fact, the less complicated, the better, I think. So let's get into this, because it is smelling so beautiful. That basil is like game changing, guys. Try it. All right, let's have a look. For so few ingredients, I mean, the sauce flavor is intense. The basil is intense. The garlic, The chili, you don't have to make it as intense as me, but I like it spicy, you guys know that by now. And then the whole thing just works together so well. And it tastes like, it literally tastes like a really good quality restaurant stir fry. But you did it yourself at home. So there you go. Hope you guys love this one as much as I do. So good. Sticky, glossy, how do we make a better stir fry at home? Let's do this, my friends. And while we're at it, let's make my version of chili chicken. Okay, so stir frying at home, a few trigger points here that can really trip you up, but let's go through it, guys. Let's start first of all with the woks, because you guys ask me about this a lot. So I use often a carbon steel wok, which is one of those woks that you need to season. The important part about the wok though is not really the material, it's the shape. So if you have a gas heat source like I do here, you can use one of those traditional round bottomed woks, and that can be carbon steel, it can be cast iron, it can be non-stick. The point is that that round shape sits there with the flame that comes up around it. Now, if you are using a glass or an electric or an induction, obviously you can't have a round bottom on your wok. So you're going to need a flat bottomed wok, and that can also be typically it's harder to get a flat bottomed carbon steel sort of seasoned wok, but it can be that. It can be, again, non-stick like this one here. Look, I prefer to use the carbon steel seasoned wok. This is a wok that you can use if you stir fry regularly. If you let this guy sit in the cupboard, it will get moldy. Sorry, not moldy, rusty. It's not gonna get moldy, it's steel. If you let this guy sit in the cupboard, it's gonna get rusty. So it's definitely something that you need to use all the time and oil and season and look after. Look, non-stick is just as fine, but what you do need to do is get your heat and your cooking technique right. So without further talking, chit-chat, let's get to that part, because that's the other really important part. So what you need to do is, first of all, get things really hot, and I mean like super scary hot, really hot, as hot as you can go. So, heat on. Okay, so now we can see a little bit of smoke, we've got it really nice and hot, and the point is we want it hot like that so that when all the ingredients hit the pan, it starts to sear straight away, because if things are at low temperature and they stew, that's when you kind of get a really wet, soggy stir fry, which we don't want. Okay, anyway, oil goes in. As soon as this goes in, you need to spread it out so that you've got a maximum amount of heat touching each piece of chicken. And now, you want to leave that chicken alone. So what I want to do is get a really beautiful crust on the chicken. I want to get some of that searing happening. And I know that like in just about every other cooking show, everyone's telling you to like hurry up and stir fry, it's going to happen quickly. Well, not technically really true with wok cooking at home, I don't think. Like, I'm going against the grain here, but whatever. The heat that you have at home just isn't as hot as in a restaurant where, you know, the chef's just doing this really quickly. So you've got to give each ingredient time to get some heat and to cook. And that way you're going to get yourself a really beautiful, dry, sticky stir fry rather than a soggy one. I'll show you. Okay, so we've been like a good solid 2 minutes here. That's right, like 2 minutes just letting that chicken sear and sear and sear. Now I'm going to get in there and start stir frying. See how we've already got that great color? So I'm just going to spread the pieces out again on that second side. Give them another minute or so. Okay, another little stir fry now. Just that sizzle, that steam. I mean, these are all the things that you should be getting, right? Okay, so now I'm going to go in with my aromatics. Obviously, I didn't start with garlic or ginger or onion because I didn't want them to burn. So I'm going to go in now with my onion. Again, give that onion time to, you know, get a little bit of sort of heat through it. And that also gives the pan time to like heat up again. Every time you add an ingredient, the temperature kind of drops a little bit. So that's, you know, there's always method to the madness. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my garlic. And now the ginger. And finally, just some capsicum. Now let's have a close look in here, guys, before I add in any sauce. So when I pull this back, you can see there's not much like liquidy stuff happening in the bottom there. A little bit of oil, but everything is pretty much just searing and getting lots of flavor and heating through, but we're not getting that like stewing kind of situation happening. So now we can go in with our sauces. Right, so I've got some soy sauce and some dark soy sauce. So guys, this is a really great one to keep on hand for any stir fries. It's going to give you a really beautiful color. So this is a dark sweet soy sauce, which is a little bit thick, but you can also use just regular Chinese dark soy sauce as well. And now, because this is like a kind of sweet, tangy kind of situation, I'm going to go in with some ketchup as well. You know, I quite often add ketchup to my stir fries. I really like it, and I'm not a food snob, so I'm okay with using it. But if you would like to add honey or something instead, totally up to you, or just leave it out, but I'm going in with the ketchup. Now a little bit of vinegar for that extra bit of tang. And I want to balance that out with a little bit of sugar and some chili powder, of course, because, you know, I just love things that are spicy. That's just me. Now toss all of that through, and at this point, you might need to add some corn flour or you might not. So if you've had a really high heat and you've managed to sear everything beautifully and you don't have too much like runny liquid, then leave it out. But so my situation here, look at that glass, all that sauce is like sticking to the chicken perfectly. So if the sauce was too runny, I would add this guy in, which is just corn flour mixed with water. That would thicken everything up and make it super sticky and glossy, but we don't need that. Okay, look at that. Oh, such a beautiful color, beautiful texture, all the things. Very simple pantry ingredients, but with the right technique, super special. Let's get that out onto a plate. And there you go, guys, a very simple version of that restaurant takeout classic, chili chicken, and a little primer on some wok cooking, the way I like to do it anyway. But let's just get here and make sure that we've done a good job. Love that smell, ginger, garlic, ah. Wow. It's sweet, tangy, a little bit spicy, and you know what? The sauce, the texture of that chicken, everything just on point. Oh, perfection. Crispy, crunchy, fried beef smothered in a sweet, tangy, spicy kind of sauce. This is my version of crispy chili beef. Okay guys, one of the things that is really bad about beef stir fries, first of all, is that the beef is really tough. So how do we get beautifully tender but crispy beef? Well, let's get straight into that. Now, I am using some rump steak here because I think, you know, you don't always want to be using really premium, expensive cuts. So rump steak or a chuck steak here is totally fine. The key is slice it really thin into these little sort of strips, and that's going to mean that we get a really crispy coating, cooks really quickly so it stays nice and tender in the middle. That's what we're going for first of all. So into our bowl, and then a couple of things here. I want some soy sauce. This is mainly for flavor. It's gonna like make everything beefier, which is great. And then some garlic. And just give that a good mix. Now, soy sauce marinades don't take much time to work their magic here. So the next thing we need is some corn flour. So the corn flour is our other little trick here. It kind of gives us that crispy texture on the outside of the beef, but also gives us some protection and kind of keeps the middle from drying out. Now, it doesn't matter if it's not like perfectly evenly coated here, kind of a bit of rough coating is gonna add to the texture, that kind of crispy, craggly sort of bits and pieces that you get at the end. You'll see when it comes out. Stay tuned, trust me. Okay, now what you need is some hot oil, and to test if our oil is hot enough, you just want to grab a chopstick or a wooden spoon, pop that in, and you want to see some nice, furious little bubbles. All right, so that's looking good to me. Now we're gonna go in with the beef. So another little tip here, guys, just do this in batches, because if you put too much beef into your oil temperature will drop, and that will give you like a soggy fry, which no one wants a soggy fry, because frying is all about getting crispy things. So in you go with your beef. Don't worry, it'll be a little bit sticky at this point. We'll kind of get them separated in a minute. And now as they're bubbling away, you just want to be using some chopsticks or, you know, a wooden spoon here to just kind of separate those beef strips out. And then you just want to give that beef time in that beautiful oil to get nice and crispy and crunchy and really sort of deeply dark golden. Okay guys, so this is the kind of situation that we're looking at here. Oh, look at that, crispy, bubbling color. Oh, I love it, love, love, love. Okay, get that onto some paper towel just to drain off the excess oil. And now we can go on with our final batch. Just while the second batch is cooking, you know, it's always customary to kind of like snack on the beef you've already cooked. I love how crunchy that is, but then also how tender that beef is. You guys won't believe it. Oh, it's so good. Such a good way to use a cheaper cut of meat, actually. Try not to eat the whole tray before the end. Okay, so have a look here. That like crispy, craggly stuff I was talking about earlier, that is what's going on with our beef right now. That is one very good looking tray right there. All right, let's get on with the sauce because that's our next big thing here. I'm gonna start off with some soy sauce. And then some dark sweet soy sauce. Now you guys are always asking me about this. So dark sweet soy sauce is called a couple of different things depending on where you are. In Thailand, we just call it sweet black soy sauce. In Indonesia or Australia, you might call it kecap manis, but it typically is a lot thicker and more viscous than a regular Chinese dark soy sauce, which you can also use, by the way. It's mainly for color that we're using this one here. And now, okay, here's like a little bit of a controversial ingredient. Well, I don't know why it's controversial because it's just ketchup, and ketchup is like tangy and sweet and has that umami kind of thing going on. So, you know, don't be a food snob. I like it in this dish and that's why I'm using it in this dish. And now here's a little bit of an unusual ingredient. This is Chinese Chengqiang black vinegar. It has a really lovely kind of fruity flavor rather than just being like a plain tart kind of vinegar flavor. If you can't get a hold of Chinese black vinegar, just go with like half white vinegar, half balsamic vinegar. That's gonna totally work for you. And then we need some heat here, of course. So I'm gonna go in with some chili flakes here. Give that a mix. And now we're ready to get everything together in our wok. All right, now I just want to add a little bit of oil and some onion. Now what you want to do here is give that onion time to kind of, you know, soften up a little, get a little bit of color. Now, wok cooking at home always takes a lot longer than you think because I know everyone always says, you know, hard and fast with wok cooking, and that's totally true if you're in a Chinese restaurant and you have a massive gas burner that is really powerful. But at home, I'm guaranteeing that hardly anyone has one of those. I don't know anyone that does. I don't. So I'm assuming you don't either. Which means you need to give your ingredients time every time you add an ingredient in to kind of get some of that love from the heat. It's not the same as in the movies. So only now am I just starting to see some nice color on my onions. So now I'm going to go in with my capsicum. And again, give that capsicum some time to get a little bit kind of burnished at the edges. So at this point, guys, you want to turn the heat off because the sauce is a little sweet. I don't want it to burn. And now the fun part, we're going to add in our sauce. We're just going to bubble up and get nice and sticky and lovely and amazing. And add in your beef. And now guys, this is where all the magic happens. So that sauce is going to get stuck to the outside and everything is going to get shiny and amazing and luscious. Oh, that is looking totally lush right now. I want to add a little bit of a sprinkling of sesame seeds though to kind of make everything even more delish. And now that just gets served out onto a plate. Now final little bits of zhuzhing here, some more sesame seeds, a little bit of spring onion, and there you go guys, like sticky, shiny, crispy beef, all the good things. Let's get in here and let's just make sure that this is a really good one for you. Oh, I am going to enjoy this. It smells so good. It is like scary how good that is. You know, that sauce was so simple, but the flavor, sweet, tangy, spicy, so complex, and the beef, beautifully tender. Like kind of crispy, but tender, amazing. Oh, yum. You've got to try this one, guys. And then, for the drama. Like a volcano. Oh my goodness, I love this dish. So many nostalgic Chinese restaurant vibes here. This is my version of a classic Chinese restaurant sizzling beef. First of all, let's do our beef. So I'm using some Scotch fillet steaks here. Now, I have a very special technique for making your beef super tender when you're stir frying. So the main point is the slicing. So to get a really tender slice of beef, you wanna cut across the grain. If you have a look here, the grain is running this way in this piece. So I'm just gonna slice across, and as thin as you can manage it, 2 to 3 millimeters. So if you have a look here, this is kind of like the ultimate strip size, if you like. Now, slicing the beef this thin not only gives you a tender beef stir fry, but also will mean that you can feed more people with your steak. So it's economical too. So beef into my bowl here, and we're gonna do the marinade, which is gonna help to flavor the beef. So soy sauce is doing the flavor part. And then the tenderizing part is happening with our bicarb soda.
Can you talk me through the scientific process there, please?
If you must know, Dax, bicarb soda is an alkaline ingredient which reduces the pH level of the outside of the beef so that when it cooks, it actually browns faster.
It's fascinating, Marion.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
You are
Appreciate
welcome.
that.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Corn flour also is going to help here. And now the only way to do this is to get in here with your hands and really distribute all of that mix evenly over every slice. Can't wait for the Dax cooking video.
Let's do the challenge.
The
You
challenge?
against me.
Yeah? Me and you? What are we going to cook? What you got? What you
I
got?
can do fried rice.
What you got?
Yeah, what you got?
What you got?
Let them fight.
All right, so now we're gonna do the stir fry sauce. And this one is really simple because this dish is all about tasting like the really amazing beef and the spring onion and the sizzle, obviously. So we're not going like too fancy here. We've got oyster sauce, some Shaoxing cooking wine, a little dash of sugar. And I'm just gonna add in here a little bit of pepper as well, some white pepper, and then maybe for a little bit of color, just a dash of dark soy sauce here. Okay, now the important part here is heating all the things up. So I wanna get my sizzle pan heating up first of all, because that's gonna give me the drama. Now, of course, in your Chinese restaurant, you've got, you know, that cool hot plate that I don't have. So I'm just using a cast iron pan here. Any kind of like, you know, pan that holds its heat really well, it's gonna be fine for you to use. That's the sizzle pan. My wok is gonna be my cooking pan. So I'm gonna cook the stir fry in here. Let's get that heating up. So when your wok is really smoking hot, then you can add in oil. First up, we've got ginger, garlic, and then the beef. So the trick here is to get the beef into your pan and then really spread it out so you've got maximum amount of beef coming into contact with the hot pan, and that way we're going to get a nice sear on the beef rather than like that stewing kind of thing that happens when you just bunch the meat up together. But if you're just like me and you cook at home, your gas burner will not be as hot as a Chinese restaurant gas burner. So that's why you have to leave the meat there to sear for a little bit before you start stir frying. Okay, so once you've tossed your beef around a few times, let it sear, and so it's like almost cooked. You don't want to cook it all the way through because of course we're going to do that sizzling a bit later on. So now what I want to do is add in some spring onion and my stir fry sauce. And at this point, my sizzle pan should be starting to smoke. Like that guy should be really hot, like scary hot right now. I want a little extra liquid here so that when my beef hits the pan, it gets that like really like steamy kind of action happening. So you could just add water, but I'm gonna add a little extra flavor by using some Shaoxing wine. So now grab a hold of your sizzle pan, be careful. Make sure you've got a trivet on your table. And then for the drama. It's like a volcano. Look at that. Oh, so good. I love the drama. I love it. Look at that drama, Dax. Are you suitably impressed?
So impressed.
Thank you. You sound very impressed. So there you go, guys. Sizzling beef at home. You know, for me, such a nostalgic dish. I'm, you know, really excited about being able to make this at home and really get that like beautiful tender beef situation happening. I'm gonna get in here and try this. That beef just like melts in your mouth. So delicious. Yum. Great. Perfect. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. All right.
Sticky, savoury hunks of beef and wok charred broccoli. This is char siu like you've never seen it before. It's my char siu beef and broccoli. So I reckon a lot of like stir-fried beef and broccoli things, or even like a lot of char siu, which is that Chinese barbecue flavor things, are not very nice. I think that if you pay attention to all the little details, you can make a beautiful beef and broccoli dish that is like, you know, that thing like so good. We're gonna do it. All the little beautiful tips and tricks are coming up, my friends. First of all, we are gonna make the most awesome homemade char siu sauce. This is the difference. The homemade version is so good, yet so easy. First of all, start off with some brown sugar, hoisin sauce, maltose. Now this is one of the things you might need to search out online or from your Asian grocery store. Typically it's used to make like Peking duck, but if you have a look here, it's a sugar, but it's very firm. It's like a liquid sugar, but it's firm when it's cool. So you just might want to microwave it for a few seconds so it's nice and loose. I'll show you. Here we go. So if you have a look, after you've zapped it, it's a lot looser. So you can take it out of your bowl. Now we need some soy sauce, some Chinese Shaoxing wine. And now if you have a look here, the other little ingredient you're just gonna need to search out is red fermented tofu. So not an absolute must, but if you can get it, would make this a lot more traditional. The tofu looks like this, and it's what helps to color the sauce as well traditionally, but it's got like a salty funk to it. It's good, that umami kind of flavor. Okay. I also need some garlic here, Chinese 5-spice, some sesame oil, a little white pepper, and then just in case you can't get a hold of your red fermented tofu, you can use a little extra food coloring. I'm gonna use some here anyway because I want a really lovely red color. And then just to help everything mix up a little easier, just some hot water. So use your spoon to kind of break up that tofu in there. And this is so cool, guys. I mean, you know, feel free to use a store-bought char siu sauce, but can I tell you, making your own is like, the difference is amazing. It's well worth the small amount of effort this takes. Okay, sauce is done. Let's get going on the beef. Now, because I'm making sort of like a fancy version of beef and broccoli, I'm going with a Scotch fillet piece here, so known as a ribeye, but you could also do this with a rump steak, a sirloin, strip steak, any tender cut of steak would be good. Bite-sized chunks is what I'm after. Now my sauce that I made is going to do double duty. First of all, as a marinade for the beef, and then later on as a stir-fry sauce. So just spoon about half or a bit less than half of that sauce onto your beef. Now, a little trick ingredient that I'm going to use here is some bicarb soda. This is going to help everything to brown up really nicely in the pan and also helps to tenderize the beef as well. So just let that beef do its thing while we prepare the broccoli. So for the broccoli, I also have a little technique that we're going to do here. So I've got some ice water and I'm going to blanch my broccoli in this boiling water first. And it's literally just a matter of minutes here, friends. I just want to see some really lovely bright green broccoli. start the cooking process, but then take it out before it's cooked, and then into my ice water. The idea is that the broccoli will stay really lovely and crisp and tender, but will still have a really beautiful bright green kind of steamed broccoli look to it. There is always method to the madness. Just gonna drain that broccoli so it dries out a little before I put it into the wok. You a broccoli man, Dax?
You know I am.
I know you are. You like broccoli, don't you? Very good. I love broccoli. I think it's an underrated vegetable. One final thing I want to do is slice some spring onion. Now, a little bit of technique here. I want you to get the wok or your pan like scary, scary hot, really hot, because I want to get a whole bunch of like charry goodness on this broccoli and the spring onion. Scary hot. See the smoke? Can you see smoke? I can see smoke. All right, put the oil in, broccoli in. I want my spring onion in there too. A little bit of salt here. It just keeps the vegetables moving around in the pan until you get a really lovely sort of slight char on some of those edges. Okay, that is some good looking broccoli right there. I'm gonna pop that out onto my serving plate. And now let's do the beef. So I've got the wok back on the heat, a little bit more oil, beef goes in. Spread that beef out because I want it to sear for a little bit before I start stir frying it. And then once you can see some color on that first side, then you can go ahead and toss the beef around. And you'll see we've got some really glorious color there already. After just a couple of minutes of stir frying, the beef has a really lovely even color about it. So I don't want to cook this beef for too long. The aim is to have like super tender melt in your mouth beef. And I'm going to go in now with the rest of the char siu sauce. Just toss that beef through the sauce for another couple of minutes. The sauce will kind of thicken up a little. Wow, okay. Spoon that over your broccoli. I mean, that's just so exciting. Drizzle of sauce. A little sprinkling of sesame seeds here. And that looks so good. Literally like my mouth is like watering. Let's get in here, shall we? Let's see how we've done. Oh my goodness, that beef, so good. Oh. I love the color. Oh my God, it's so tender. And the flavor is just like, it's sweet, but it's not too sweet. It's got that beautiful savory garlic kind of flavor to it. It's like, it's literally heaven. Literally heaven, so good.
How do you turn a cheap steak into this glistening, super tender, amazing beef stir fry? Well, I'm going to show you, my friends, and we're also going to make our very own homemade black bean sauce. This is my version of beef and black bean. So before we get into the magical transformation of our rump steak into something that's more akin to a fillet steak, let's do our homemade black bean sauce first of all. So you need to start off with a little bit of oil, and I haven't got the heat on the pan yet. I just want to have some oil into cold wok. And now I want to get in here with some garlic. And you could blend this up or pound it in a mortar and pestle, but if you've got one of these microplane graters, then you can just go straight in and grate it straight in. And now we want to do the same thing with some ginger. Okay, now we can turn the heat on. I didn't want to turn it on earlier because I didn't want the garlic to burn while I was grating everything in there. You just want to let this come up to like a little bubble, a little sizzle, and then just give it about a minute of stir frying just to take the edge off that harsh raw garlic flavor. So now we want to go in with our black beans, and what you're looking for when you're at your Asian store is fermented black beans. It typically comes in a packet like this, or sometimes a can. You can order them online as well. So we want to grab some of these. So you can see they're just a really dry black bean here. They'll sort of reconstitute and get kind of sticky in the sauce. You'll see what I mean a bit later. Just mix those through. Now we need some water in here. Now we're going to add some Chinese cooking wine. So I find typically when I'm looking at a store-bought black bean sauce, they don't have the cooking wine in it typically, and it really adds another level or layer of flavor. It makes the sauce a lot more special. I do know some of you don't like to cook with alcohol, so if that's the case, just try some apple juice. That'll add a nice kind of floral interest to your sauce. I need some soy sauce here. And some sugar. So you can see it's very simple to make this at home once you've got your black beans, and the flavor difference between this homemade version and any of the store-bought ones that I've tried, incomparable. I mean, this thing is so fragrant and lush and amazing that it's definitely worth making this at home. Now just bring this up to a gentle simmer and then let it do its thing for about 12-15 minutes until you see that most of that liquid has evaporated. Okay, so this is the kind of situation you should be looking at right now. Most of that liquid has evaporated. Our black beans are looking all sticky and soft, and everything is looking shiny and lovely. We're gonna increase that shininess, make everything a bit more lush by adding some corn flour. So just add like a teaspoon in here, and a little bit of water. Just give that a mix. In we go. And now that's what I'm talking about, guys. Shiny, sticky, all the things. This can come out and it's ready to go in a jar. All right, so your black bean sauce will keep in the fridge for a couple of months, but you know, I don't tend to make huge batches of it, so that kind of thing would like last a month in my household. But you can use this for stir fries. It's an amazing little topper for some eggs. Like just kind of drop little bits of it on your fried eggs in the morning. It's like a salty umami kind of, you know, all-round good guy. But today we're gonna do a very special black bean beef, and let's get going on that. So let's talk about beef first of all, because we've got a little magic trick to do here. So I'm going for a rump steak here. Now I've chosen rump because typically, well, where I am, it's often on sale. You can get a big whole chunk of it. Now the thing about rump steak is that it has a really great flavor, but it can be a little bit tough if you don't treat it right. So let's have a look at this here. You've kind of got some pieces that need to be just sort of sectioned off here. Just kind of go where the sinew naturally is through the steak. And the reason I'm doing this is that I like to just kind of slice off and take away any of those hard sinewy bits that run through the slice of the rump. Now I like to go in here on an angle. I find that you get kind of like a thinner, more tender piece of beef that way. So our beef is sliced. Now we're going to work a little bit of magic here. So what we need is some soy sauce. This one is for flavor. Gives us a nice kind of salty seasoning. And we want some Chinese Shaoxing wine here as well. And then here come the little special ingredients. So some corn flour first of all. Now this ingredient will give you that kind of, you know, that like velvety soft kind of texture you get in a really good Chinese restaurant when you're eating your beef or your chicken. And it kind of tricks your mouth into thinking that things are a lot more tender than they are. So that's our first little trick. And the second one is some baking soda. So baking soda will do a couple of things. It's going to help to tenderize the meat itself, but it's also going to help it brown a lot quicker, which means we're not having to cook the beef for so long. We're getting some beautiful like caramelized flavor. So it's really a good guy. Now give that a really good mix. Now this doesn't need long to marinate at all, just leave that there while you're prepping your veggies. So I'm gonna go with some onion here. And some capsicum. And some spring onion. So now we get to the cooking part, and a couple of things here are also going to help out with getting a really beautiful tender beef. So first of all, I want my pan really hot, because of course the last thing we want to do is get our meat in here and then have everything kind of stewing at a low temperature, and then things get tough and like not very nice. So hot pan, oil, and then you want to wait till things get really kind of scary hot in here. I see a little bit of smoke. And now the beef goes in. Now you really want to push that beef out straight away so you've got as much of the surface of the beef coming into contact with the hot pan as possible. Now stand back, don't touch, let the heat work its magic on that beef. Like a couple of minutes here, you really want to develop a nice kind of color on that first side. Now start flipping that beef over, and then again kind of push it out, and again let's get some color. Let's see some searing action here. Alright, let's get in here and stir fry again, and look at that. So you can see that we've got some lovely brown color there. That is flavor. That's what we're looking for. Now we can go in with some onion. Toss that onion around, give the onion a little bit of time to like get that raw edge off. Now in with the capsicum or bell pepper, depending on where you are. And now for our black bean sauce, like the magic sauce. I want some oyster sauce here as well. So you're kind of using the black bean sauce almost as more like a paste, like a concentrated black bean paste, and then we're going to add in some oyster sauce to kind of thin it out a bit, and also just a little dash of water here as well. All right, look at that color, look at the shine. I mean, that is just really quite joyful. I love it, I love it. Okay, spring onion in there now. And that's it. Let's get this out on a plate. Okay friends, there you go, a very special beef and black bean. Let me get in here though, and let me tell you all about this beef, because I'm telling you now, it's good. It looks good. That texture is so incredible. Literally, from the second you kind of taste it, you're getting that silky kind of feeling. That black bean sauce is so fragrant with the fresh ginger and the garlic and the all the extras. I love that you can make a cheaper cut of steak like this. Really tastes almost like a fillet steak. Like, that's so good. Yeah, so comforting, so good.